We have some more Cracker Barrel backtracking. Yesterday, we were talking about how the shares have continued to drop and they just really don't show any signs of recovery, especially given the fact that, well, you're a restaurant and you're serving old food and now that's getting exposed. But hey, at least we're going back to the old logo, and now it's been announced that Cracker Barrel won't remodel the restaurants after the logo change uproar. Yeah, now that you've got some actual feedback from your customers, even though Julie Felss Masino was out there, oh my god, on Good Morning America. Has there ever been an interview aged so poorly since Donald Sterling? But after she was out there saying, oh, we've got great feedback, it's been nothing but positivity. And what have you done in 2 weeks time? Oh, reverse all of your changes. Your $700 million rebranding campaign gone in an instant. Great job, stupid. But yes, Cracker Barrel is shelving plans to remodel its restaurants as it continues to backtrack on overhauling its brand image. The move comes after the chain already reverted its old logo in response to an uproar around the refreshed brand symbol. Well, there's nothing refreshing about this, bro. Again, it just, you take a look at those two logos and it's just man, I think probably one of the most depressing things is, a well-traveled sports fan is just going through all of history and taking a look at how different logos for different sports teams have just changed throughout the years, and how colorful some logos, and it's specific in just how awful it is in regards to the NBA. But even looking back at all the personnel that used to be in NFL logos back in the 70s and 80s, even the color schemes and the logos themselves, there used to be real artistry on display. And now, well, you could just see right there a logo that came in the early 70s and then replaced with just regular industrialized slop that'll look good on a business header. What are we doing, man? But yes, refreshed brand symbol that caused the company's stock to lose as much as $200 million in market value. Your old country store is here to stay, the company said in a statement on its website Tuesday, adding that it would no longer seek to modernize, sanitize. Sanitize is a better way to go about it, the restaurant's interiors. Today, we're suspending our remodels. If your restaurant hasn't been remodeled, then you don't need to worry, it won't be, Cracker Barrel said. The decision to halt our remodeling plans was based on opinions customers shared, not just on our logo, but also on our restaurants. Yeah, now you're listening to your customers. Anyways, Cracker Barrel conceded in a statement that its planned store redesign did not reflect what you love about Cracker Barrel. So, okay, with all of these admissions, why does your CEO still have a job? Why isn't her resignation letter on somebody's desk? Why hasn't she been publicly tarred and feathered for this stupid fucking decision? It makes no sense at all whatsoever. If somebody else would have catastrophically fucked up this bad, they would have been rode out of town in a Cracker Barrel. What are we doing? Now, to date, the Southern, a themed restaurant chain has remodeled just 4 of its 660 store locations, and they all look like shit. It is suspending plans to remodel any additional stores. Yeah, and there's probably a lot of contracts that are in place that have been breached and will end up being paid out at some level. So yeah, that earmarked $700 million, yeah, they're still going to be paying out some of it. Literally burning money. Now, with the recent announcement that our old timer logo, there we go, will remain, along with our bigger focus on our kitchen and on your plate. Really, after probably the employees came out and said, yeah, we're serving day-old biscuits and we're reheating meatloaf. It's not exactly an appetizing fare anymore, and people are starting to notice. We hope that today's step reinforces that we hear you. Yeah, whenever a corporation says something like, we hear you, our family, it's just immediately off-putting. I don't know who that works on. I legitimately do not. Even if it's a small business, even if it's a family-owned and operated business that's been in your hometown for generations, whenever I hear, oh, this is our city, it's like, bro, you're a business. Just fucking act like it. Stop doing this emotional plea shit. It's all corny and it's all performative. Nobody buys it. Maybe the people that unironically watch the Hallmark movies think they're good and then cry along with a downtrodden wife who gets cheated on by her abusive husband. Anyways, I'm sure there was a lot of deep thought that went into both the logo and the store redesigns. Vanderbilt University marketing professor Kelly Goldsmith told CBS Money Watch. No, it really wasn't. Masino used to work over at Taco Bell as she stripped that place of all personality, and she decided to do it again over here at Cracker Barrel. It's like there was no bigger thought than that. They needed to turn the ship around financially and thought the logo and store redesign would help. Yeah, and if they would have pivoted to something that had personality, that would have been something that is like what they used to be, but then modernizing it, for lack of a better term, that could have worked. But there was no real vision outside of, yeah, we'll just go with generic white dining area, maybe a couple of tchotchkes left on the walls, but otherwise it would be not too dissimilar to any other greasy spoon that you would find along the side of the road. But if you really wanted to have a plan, okay, going ahead to this, its existing plan wasn't working for the company financially, and this would be the impetus for change. Exactly. You could just simply go to somebody, Sardar Biglari, who owns a not insignificant stake in Cracker Barrel, who had also successfully penned a turnaround for Steak and Shake back in 2008, and you have seen he's somebody who understood the brand of Steak and Shake and made them financially profitable. This is a guy who also understands Cracker Barrel, has a plan in place. We'll go over some of it, and if they were listening, the answers are there. An activist investor just released a turnaround plan for Cracker Barrel. It's incredible reading. Sardar Biglari, who fixed Steak and Shake after 2008, has owned Cracker Barrel shares for 14 years, and he's not happy with how the investment has gone. Okay, let's take a look. Cracker Barrel stock is down nearly 50% in the last year. Yeah, we've looked at that, and honestly, where they're at right now, it's not the lowest point, but the fact that it's as bad as it is right now and it's been worse kind of lets you know that ever since this bitch took over in 2023, she has not made things better. Cracker Barrel, yes, down nearly 50% over last year compared to 28% gain in the S&P 500. Over the last 5 years, the stock is down 70% compared to a gain of 108% in the index. Even prior to the coup, guest traffic was decreasing 1 to 2% per year. Over the past 2 years, it's down 3.5% to 5%. These are massive declines for a restaurant chain. Operating income has decreased 84% since financial year 2019. Cracker Barrel has the worst margins in the industry. Operating margins are just 1.3%. Jesus, compared to 11.5% for Darden, yes, owner of Olive Garden and Cheddar's. Okay, so yeah, comparable restaurants. Even excluding overhead and depreciation, margins are 11% compared to the nearly 20% for Darden. Fuck. Yo, they're comparable with what, Denny's? And considerably behind Cheesecake Factory, BJ's, and all of Bloomin' Brands. Jesus, okay, so one Cracker Barrel's advantages used to be it's a down-home old country style. It didn't require renovations every 6 to 7 years. Exactly. That's its aesthetic, that's its style, and it's also one of its greatest strengths. In the words of their former CFO, if casual dining company announces a remodel program, run, don't walk in the other direction. Yeah, exactly. It's interesting, right? I can't remember the name of the channel, but there's a couple of different ones that are on YouTube that just chronicle the rise and fall of different chain restaurants, and the one that immediately comes to mind is what was it, Texas Steakhouse or something like that? God, it was a steakhouse one. But how they used to have, like, you know, that real Texan aesthetic to their dining rooms. You'd have peanut shells on the floor. It was everything that would immediately come to mind when you think good old Texan barbecue. But eventually they just, stripped it of all personality, and now they're ostensibly closed and the chain has failed, even though they were booming in the 90s, not too dissimilar to Cracker Barrel. So yeah, $700 million renovation and remodeling plan, and your former CEO is telling you, get the fuck out of town. Customer complaints center around reduced quality and smaller portion sizes. Yeah, we kind of went over that, but to just really drive this home, comparing a picture of a meal in 2021 of just meatloaf compared to what you got in 2024, and it's, you got sirloin steak. Oh God, that's a sirloin steak. Oof, okay, man, and 3 eggs. As compared to, what you got this time around. I mean, you got a different plate size for one. That's got to tell you something. And the amount of meat there, it's just dumb. That's tough. Biglari is nominating 3 directors, including himself, with strong experience in casual restaurants. Focus areas: more store openings, better customer value proposition, higher return on investment, consumer growth, customer loyalty program, addressing technology challenges. Okay, that all makes sense, right? Guest traffic is down a staggering 18.8% since June of 2019. Formula for the erosion of traffic: deteriorating product quality, reduced portion sizes, declining service, price increases. Again, hard to manage that dynamic when consumers are price sensitive, ingredient prices are rising, and labor is short. Over the last 5 years, Cracker Barrel has suffered the worst margin erosion in history. There's some of the nitty gritty that's down there if you're so inclined. These are honestly just shockingly bad margins, even if the casual restaurant or in the casual restaurant injury injury is what they're doing to themselves. Cracker Barrel has spent $853 million on capex since fiscal year 19. Jesus. For comparison, operating income over the period was $754 million. The company is spending more on growth than it is generating an EBIT. Yeesh. Wall Street equity research analysts have no confidence in the management's turnaround plan. Zero analysts have a buy rating on the stock. And I would imagine after all of the concessions that they just made, that's probably not inspiring anybody anytime soon to update their forecasts. When it's all said and done, divest Maple Street Biscuit, make sure CapEx generates acceptable ROIC, fix the customer value proposition, reverse the decline in store traffic, and leverage good footprint, 662 locations, many in high growth areas, to return cash to shareholders once margins improve. It seems very simple, but apparently it's not obvious for blatant liars like Julie Felss Masino. She needs to retire. She needs to resign. She needs to be out of that position, because if I'm to add one more thing on that, yeah, it's fire the CEO. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.